What's going on, guys? It's me, Zach, bringing you guys the first video of this season. Really excited about this year. We're really going to take it up a notch and get out 3 videos each week. We're going to have the website up by the start of the season. So really a lot of moving pieces this year. I think we're really going to be able to take it up a notch with the channel. We're going to start off the season by bringing you guys a series of videos where I go through a couple players at each position that I think could have a really huge breakout season this year. So we're going to start off with quarterbacks, and then come Friday, we'll get you guys the video on the running backs, and then next Monday and Wednesday will be the receivers and tight ends. And then we'll move into the next video series. So we're going to get a lot more content this year. Really should be overall higher quality, and then there should be a lot more social media presence and website presence as well. But with that, I'm really excited to get going. Let's get started with the first quarterback. So the first quarterback I'm really excited about this year is Jalen Hurts. I think that he's going to be a really popular pick to have a really huge breakout season among a lot of analysts, and I think that there's a lot of good reasons for that. Last season, from weeks 1 to 11, he was the quarterback 1 in total fantasy points scored, and then he suffered a minor ankle injury that sort of limited his ability to produce on the ground. But that ankle injury is a non-issue now, and the Eagles have now added A.J. Brown, an elite and very efficient wide receiver, to their offense to go alongside Devonta Smith and then Dallas Goedert in the middle. So you're going to have a lot of 3 very efficient and very elite athletic receivers / tight ends in this offense that can really help produce explosive plays for an offense that isn't necessarily going to be a very high volume attack, but I think that they're going to be effective enough on the ground to open up play action and really have some explosive plays throughout the course of the season. A.J. Brown, we all know who he is. He's arguably the most efficient wide receiver in terms of yards per target over the course of his career so far. And Devonta Smith had a really impressive rookie season. He's only going to get better in year 2, and I think the reason that a lot of people are down on Devonta Smith is just because they saw what Ja'Marr Chase did. And I don't think that what Ja'Marr Chase did should take anything away from how productive Devonta Smith was as a rookie, and he's only going to get better this year. So I think that there are going to be a lot of weeks where Jalen Hurts connects on a deep ball to A.J. Brown, Goddard, or Devonta Smith, and in the weeks where he doesn't, Jalen Hurts is going to offer you that floor that most rushing quarterbacks do offer, because if he throws for 100 yards and 1 touchdown, but he rushes for 50 and a touchdown as well, that's actually a pretty good week. And in the weeks where Jalen Hurts does explode through the air and have a couple explosive plays, Jalen Hurts is going to put together some week-winning performances. And I think that with enough of those performances, given the baseline he's going to offer you on the ground, Jalen Hurts has a legitimate shot to finish as the quarterback 1 this season. And he's not going to cost you that. He's being drafted as the quarterback 8, which to me is his absolute floor if he stays healthy. Obviously, for most mobile quarterbacks, health is a bit more of a concern than for your traditional pocket quarterback, but I'm not concerned about the health of him. I don't think you should be either, and I think that you should be all over drafting Jalen Hurts this season. So the next quarterback I'm really excited about this season is Russell Wilson. I think this is really going to be the year where we finally get to see Russ cook. I'd love to see him get an MVP vote this year. He certainly deserves it. But I think this is arguably, and in my mind, the deepest wide receiver core that Russ has had over the course of his career. It is fair to say that DK and Lockett are a better 1-2 punch than Sutton and Judy, although there's still a lot of untapped upside with Judy, so I don't know if that's necessarily a guarantee, but I think you're going to be really hard-pressed to find a better wide receiver 3 in the NFL than Tim Patrick. And KJ Hamler might be the best wide receiver 4 in the NFL. And not to mention Albert O at tight end could certainly have a few explosive plays over the course of the season. So there's a lot of depth in terms of the pass-catching options in Denver, and I think that's really going to help Russ, who's always been a guy who spreads the ball around. This is obviously the best offensive line Russ has had in years. Seattle's known for having a really hard time putting together a quality offensive line, and Denver's got at least an average one, which is miles better than anything Russ has had over the last 5 years even. This is the best running game Russ has had in a while. Since Lynch left in Seattle, Seattle's had a hard time really replacing them, given that Penny's been unable to stay healthy, and Carson's been on and off the field as well himself. So I think that Broncos are actually really going to be able to open up the play action, something that Russ has been lethal with over the course of his career. He's got one of the prettiest deep balls in the NFL, and should be only better throwing in that thin air. You're also going to see the Broncos run far more offensive plays per game than Seattle did last season. Seattle ranked dead last in offensive plays ran per game over the course of last season. Green Bay, where Nathaniel Hackett is coming from, ranked 18th. So not a huge jump, but that ends up being about 7 more offensive plays per game. Russ has even emphasized wanting to run more up-tempo in Denver, so you could see even more of a jump there. But I don't need to explain to you that more offensive plays is more opportunities for fantasy points. I think that Denver overall is going to be a gold mine for fantasy points, and I think that gold mine starts at Russell Wilson. In addition, Russ finds himself in a pretty stacked AFC West. You've got 4 extremely talented quarterbacks with very talented receiving corps. You're going to have a lot of shootouts in those AFC West games, and I think that obviously to win those shootouts, you're going to have to put up 30-plus points, and Russ is going to be a big part of the reason why the Broncos are able to do that. Wouldn't shock me at all to see Russ put up a 5,000-yard, 40-touchdown season. And that does give him a legitimate shot to finish as a top 3 quarterback this season, and he's being drafted as the quarterback 10, which, much like I said, Hurts was being drafted at his floor. I agree that Russ is being drafted at his floor here. Every single year of his career outside of last season where he was injured, Russ has finished as a top 10 quarterback in fantasy. There's no reason to think he won't do it again. If you get Russ as your quarterback 1, you're certainly set for the course of the season, and you certainly are giving yourself an opportunity for a lot of upside. So the last quarterback I'm pretty excited about this season is Kirk Cousins. I know it's maybe a little bit anticlimactic to say I'm excited about Kirk Cousins, but he's really quietly over the last 2 seasons finished as the quarterback 11 in each of them. That's by no means special, but it's serviceable. And he's now got a new head coach in Kevin O'Connell, which promises to run a far more pass-heavy system. He certainly has an elite receiving core. Justin Jefferson is arguably the best receiver in the NFL. And then you've got Adam Thielen, who's a Pro Bowler in his own right, and then a rising KJ Osborne. On top of that, you've got Irv Smith returning from his injury, and then an obviously elite duo at running back in Dalvin Cook and Alexander Mattison. The last time that Cousins was allowed to be a high-volume quarterback was when he was in Washington, and he threw for almost 5,000 yards that season and finished as the QB I in fantasy. That was without passing for more than 30 passing touchdowns. So I think that there's a real scenario where Kirk Cousins has a 5,000-yard passing season this season and then exceeds his career best in the touchdown department. So I think that there's a real opportunity for Kirk Cousins to put together a similar season to what Matthew Stafford did last year, where he doesn't offer you anything on the ground. I think that's obvious, but because you've got such a talented receiving core and then a really similar offensive philosophy, obviously Kevin O'Connell coming from LA, you can see where I'm drawing the comps between Kirk Cousins and Matthew Stafford here. I think Kirk Cousins really could put together a similar season. I don't think that Kirk Cousins is by any means less talented than Stafford, and they arguably have a better receiving core than the Rams did. They certainly have a better running game, and they have a worse defense. They're going to find themselves in a lot more shootouts. Kirk Cousins is being drafted as the quarterback 15 this season. He's never finished that low over the course of his career. Like with the other 2 I mentioned, Kirk Cousins is being drafted as his floor. If you can get him as either your second quarterback or as a safe first quarterback because you missed on all of the top guys, and then you can take a flyer on someone riskier later, I think Kirk Cousins is going to be a guy that really surprises a lot of people and puts together an overall quality season this year. Thank you guys for watching. If you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, check out these other videos here if you haven't. If you want more content, please feel free to follow me on Twitter at RealSteelFFB. I'll be more active on there as the season goes on. Thanks. Catch you later.